Hi everyone, welcome back to the Craft Show. My name is Wally, and today we're going to be visiting with our good friend Natalie from East Van Jam. All right, so hello everyone, and welcome back to the Craft Show. Today I'm going to have a little jam session with Natalie from East Van Jam.
You had to.
So could you tell us a little bit about yourself and about East Van Jam?
I am a mom, a wife, entrepreneur. I started East Van Jam about, I'm coming up, it'll be 8 years in October. I was in the corporate world for quite a while before I started this business. And my husband and I were ready to start our family. And we decided, that I would stay home with our kids. And in doing so, I discovered it was really boring. It was so rewarding. I mean, everyone says this. I love my kids, but it was kind of boring after a while. I needed some more adult contact and adult interaction. And so I actually started teaching classes, canning classes to people in my community in the evenings. So my husband would come home from work. I could hand over, childcare duties and head out and do these scheduled canning classes, which was really fun and super engaging and a really great way to get to know people in the area and all that. And I really wanted to share that canning was a really accessible thing to do. And so through doing that, I ended up hearing from a lot of feedback from the people in my classes, that I was teaching them how to make low sugar jam specifically because I felt like it was a really good entry into the canning world. So, and everyone loves jam. So, I kept hearing from folks, why isn't this available on the shelf? How come, if I wanted to go buy a low sugar jam, what's the deal? Why isn't it available? So I did some of the research required and figured out the science and what were the trade-offs, um, and gradually started developing it as a product, and then eventually the canning classes faded into the distance, and yeah, been working at selling jam ever since.
Awesome, awesome. Now you mentioned that your jams are lower in sugar. Can you talk a bit about how your jams differ from other jams on the market?
Yeah, for sure. So technically, the term for my product is actually spread because jam is a term, an actual term reserved for a product that is a 1-to-1 sugar to fruit ratio. And so in lowering the sugar content, I technically have to call it a spread, but East Van spread doesn't sound so great. So, and I want there to be like a connection to it being like a traditional product with a twist. And so the low sugar means, as I mentioned earlier, there's some trade-offs to it, and that is because the product isn't completely saturated by sugar, there is water content that's left over, and so that's the content that can grow things. So once you open a jar of jam, the it means you have to eat it faster than you would a regular kind of jam. So not being completely saturated means you can't forget about it in the back of your fridge. So it's more of like a conscious effort to eat something that's more fresh. Yeah, just it's less preserved in the sense that it's got way less sugar. So for example, I did all the math and it's 85% of the contents is fruit. So when you look at like a really classic brand, like for example, you'll find that it's like basically a 42% amount of fruit to the amount of sugar that's put in there. So it's like hugely different. Um, and so there are also a whole bunch of companies, like your classic or whatever. Those companies have come out with like a low sugar or no sugar added product as well, because they recognize that there's people out there that want to eat less sugar, but the way they do it is to add all sorts of chemical preservatives. And so what I'm trying to do is avoid both of those things. and have a more fresh, more clean label, low sugar product for folks to choose from. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you know what? I have a couple of your jams here. I've got the nectarine, um,
Nice.
and and I've got the cherry one as well. Um, I really like to have some of your jam on my oatmeal in the morning instead of fresh fruit. So it's kind of like having fresh fruit on your cereal in the morning. So that's what I love about your product.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah, I like it on my oatmeal as well. My husband thinks I'm crazy. He's a Mr. Plain oatmeal guy. And I'm just like, toss it in. It's so delicious. It's so fresh and easy to work with too.
So Natalie, you and Dan and I we go way back to a lot of the farmers markets that we've done over the years. And I
Yeah.
think I can't remember the exact market where we might have met you, but one of the things I'd like to ask is if you could comment on the kind of the market community and the vendors that you've met along the way.
One of the really like saving graces of running a small business like this is getting to know other people and other vendors in the industry. There's so much to learn from each other when we're at a market. Um, Not only do we share best practices and finding out about technical things that will help you know in our labeling or whatever it is, pricing, doing your cost of goods, um, but just the fact that we so often I'll speak for myself, but I feel like so often I rely on other vendors to help buoy me up in a way to because some of those markets are really long hours, and sometimes you're doing like a 10-hour day solo, or um it could just be very trying after a while, and having that camaraderie among you in that setting is just, it's invaluable, I think. And so many of my like friends who I'm in regular contact with are those who I've met through um, through that industry. So like a lot of the holiday craft markets and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's been like absolutely key to maintaining sanity and and keeping going. It's a family for sure.
So where do you get all the fruit for your jams?
Well, I'm not going to tell you exactly because it's a trade secret, but I am lucky that I work with a family farm in Abbotsford who help, either I source everything through or they help me source. Um, so, for example, they don't grow the rhubarb I purchase, but they are through their network of local farmers. Um, I get it through another packing house. Um, so that's the case with like my cherries, for example. I work with a family farm, but in Lake Country, North Okanagan, and so I'm able to purchase through them, but I actually store it in Abbotsford. So it's really tricky having this mandate of sticking to BC grown fruit. There's a lot of other shortcuts I could take that would make my life a lot easier, but I'm really committed to sourcing my fruit in BC for a handful of reasons. And I don't mean to, I'm not trying to pass judgment on anyone else. It's just something that I feel is a core value that's a cornerstone of what I do. And in the years that I've been doing it, when I sit back and I tally how many thousands of pounds of fruit that I have processed, it's it's amazing to, like, I feel a little, pride in the fact that it hasn't traveled very far. All of that fruit didn't travel very far to get to me, and I'm supporting the farmers that are growing here, and it's so it limits me, so I don't process mangoes and I don't make marmalade, I don't do fruit that's tropical, and so I can sometimes run into some challenges with that, but I'm okay with that trade-off. Like, I'm super okay with that. I'm all about food security, so I feel like it's just my little piece of influence in the world.
Do you have a favorite product that you make? Is there something that gives you more joy over other products?
Well, I brought these three out for that very reason. Strawberry usually wins, but it's not my personal favorite. I love the raspberry because raspberries are my love language for sure. Nectarine is also a huge favorite for me because these are the two fruits that I eat the most of fresh in the summer. So I really wanted to do a great job honoring those two fruit just because they're my favorite. And then this one, black currant, little more unusual as far as a jam goes. It's really a very European taste that I get a lot of great feedback from folks, and they really dig it. But it's so tart, and I really enjoy it, sweet or savory. So you can kind of go both ways with that one, which is really nice.
So, how if folks are interested in buying your products, if our viewers would love to get their hands on some of this amazing jam, how where can they find it? How would they go about getting it?
There are a few options. There's a list of stores that carry my jam on my website. Pretty classic way to direct people. Not every store carries my full line, and they don't. And some stores pick and choose the flavors that they find work the best for their customers. If you're looking for something specific, you can always order it off my website. So that's an option. And then there's like spud.ca, does the online grocers, and Legends Hall, and Whole Foods carries a few of my flavors as well. So there's some stores out there that are really accessible and easy to get to, and then there's handfuls of more boutique gift store style shops that carry it.
And Whole Foods, you mentioned Whole Foods. People are quite familiar with Whole Foods. Do they carry it across Western Canada, or?
It's the Western region store, so just here in BC.
Because we do have quite a few viewers in Calgary as well. Can they get it through Spud in Calgary?
Yeah, actually just launching with I've been with Calgary Spud for a while, but we're also just launching into Victoria and Edmonton as well, which is really exciting. But there's a couple other more independent stores in Calgary. Bridgeland Market carries my stuff, as well as a few of the Blush Lane locations.
So I understand you have a phenomenal garden.
Yeah, for sure. My garden is a like small city lot, like a standard city lot. It's really productive. We do a lot of vertical gardening, so a lot of stuff just takes as little footprint as possible, and get a lot of production out of growing it tall. So like peas and beans and vine tomatoes, for example, are some of the main focuses for us. I'm a bit of a garden freak when it comes to the summer. As soon as stuff starts growing, that's what my Instagram is. It says, my handle is at @EastVanJam, but it becomes all about the garden. So lots of harvest pictures and stuff like that. Right now we've got some garlic and peas started, and the rhubarb is going bonkers, and our plum trees are starting to grow little baby plums. So yeah, lots going on back here.
Do you use anything in your garden for some of your products?
I use the herbs, so the nectarine, for example, has sage in it. I use the sage from our garden. There's not really a whole lot else. Oh, I use hops for the apricot hops jam. So yeah.
Okay, so what about your job gives you the most satisfaction?
I guess mostly just it's like when I get feedback from customers. Sometimes I'll just get emails and where someone's being extremely effusive about how much they're enjoying the black currant jam, for example. It's a strange little cult following on the black currant. People who love it really love it. And so sometimes I'll just get these emails. They're like, keep doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing. It's so great. You make best jam or whatever. And those are the moments that I'm just like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. Even though there's harder moments here and there, but it makes it worth it, making people happy.
So I'm gonna try some of this amazing jam, although I've tried it many times. So I've got some toast here.
Which one you got there?
I've got it's the peach.
Ooh, very nice.
There we go. And I'm just gonna spoon a little bit onto this toast here. Ooh, I spilled a bit, but that's okay. I'll lick the jar.
I've had many people say, is it okay to eat it out of the jar with a spoon?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Awesome.
Well, Nat, it's been so amazing hanging out with you today, and
You too.
yeah, and you know what I'm really looking forward to is a big hug when I see you next time at the market.
I miss hugs.
Yeah. Well, yours are incredible, and you know it's quite a fact around the market. Everyone's waiting for a Nat hug when we get back together.
Yeah. So I've got lots waiting for everybody.
Thanks so much for joining me today, Nat. It was so amazing speaking with you, and I just can't wait until we can all be together again at a market.
Thanks for having me, you guys. It was fun.
Thanks for jamming with Nat and I today. If you'd like a chance to win some of her jams, head on over to our Instagram page at Craft Show Show and be sure to enter the contest. We'll ship one of these jams right to your door. If you like what you saw today, please subscribe, give us a big thumbs up. We'll see you next time on the journey as we discover Canada's craft.